Hey, how's it going, guys? Ancient Root here, back with another Wonderlands build video, and today I will be going over SPEEDscallion. This is a Trapscallion gut build, more focus on spells than last time in the Chaos 50 version. Spells can help a lot with bossing, but they also just always really strong with spell shots, so there's no reason not to go some spell stuff. This build is used if you want to use any gun, but unfortunately gun builds have fallen off a bit with Chaos 100. Unless you use Buffmeister, then you won't get that much of Chaos 100. And compared to like other types of builds like melee and dot, the stuff you've seen before in my videos, I highly recommend going to a lower chaos level, at least the Chaos 75, where you still only get primordial and ascended items to drop. After that, it's just a lot of enemy loaded health. So if you want more fun and struggle, I definitely recommend going to Chaos 75. I just do this because of YouTube. I'm definitely going to Chaos 75 after this build is posted, but people like to see Chaos 100, and that's honestly the real reason why I have it at 100. The save file will be found in my Discord link down below. You can also find my Twitch, where I stream Wonderlands and other games often. And if you like this build, make sure to like the video, and if you haven't, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, for the gear here, we have lots of guns that we can use. It just depends on what you want to use. I haven't experimented too much with weapons, I mainly just updated the old version. I don't really play and enjoy gun builds that much, so feel free to experiment with guns. I just wanted to update this for you guys, but I'll share some of the guns I do like. And first off, for the enchant, you just want to go with the spellcast with the elements. I don't have it on this liquid cooling for some reason. I forgot that was the enchant. But yeah, you just want to go with the element of the weapon you're doing. First, we'll go over the Ruby Spite. Ruby Spite is one of the strongest guns for mobbing. Secondary fire mode gives you a 2.88 times damage multiplier and 100% more fire rate. This makes it very, very strong, and it does auto targeting, and then it also has crossbows for even more damage. I think this is max damage. I don't think minus 52% gun damage can roll on with crit parts, but lower damage ones can roll with crit parts, and I don't know if that's better or not. I'd have to grind through and look through a lot of Ruby Spites. And I think the mag size can be higher and still have the same damage. I'm not completely sure. And that higher mag is definitely better. And then we have a Sword Explosion. This is my go-to for bossing besides spells. Times 1 or times 3 will work. Times 1 allows for better ammo sustainability, and times 3 allows for much faster DPS. And you'll just match elements to bosses. Last Rites is really fun. I really enjoy this. I use it on my Chillmonger gun builds when I used to play that. It's a quest reward, which is very nice. It's very strong, and it ricochets, so it's very good for mobbing. And it's especially good with Soaked, which I do use on one of the armor choices. Liquid Cooling is still very strong, even after the long nerf ago when people thought the gun was dead. And Chaos levels, it's not as strong with Chaos level increase for Chaos 100, but at Chaos 75 it's fine. It's a really good weapon. Just hit crits and Soaked, and it does amazing damage. Another weapon here that is very common, it is the White Rider. Very strong, consistent gun to use. Any gun build should have it. I just don't have it equipped right now. It doesn't crit as much, which makes Sever the Thread not proc as often, but that's fine. It is still really good. You want the 2 ammo per shot, because this effectively makes it times 2. It doesn't state it on the card, but it does shoot 2 bullets. The best version you can get of this is with 21% crit, 2 ammo per shot, and 18 mag. I haven't got one, but I have seen this drop before. Fragment Rain is also a really fun gun to use with the Marshmallow. You can cast the Marshmallow and then shoot at it, and the ricochets will go towards enemies and all the mobs will die, instead of you shooting at an enemy and all the enemies around it die and you have one enemy left, which can be annoying. It doesn't matter if it's times 4 or times 5, any will work. The Carouser is also a very fun gun. I use it on a new build that I'm coming out with at this time of recording, but also works really well here. Very strong sniper. You probably want this with the 33% crit, and it ascended rolls with like 3,700 damage, which is still very good. But it has a big part variation, but there are a good amount of parts, different parts that will work. But yeah, that's a really good one. Great Bow is very good for mobbing and bossing still, even when used. It can't come with an enchant, which is unfortunate, but it doesn't really need it. It's also pretty ammo efficient, only consuming 2 ammo per shot. Look at that base damage. That is good base damage. When all those pellets hit, it is insane. It's not meant to be like a faraway sniper like you can do with the Carouser. It's meant to be up closer, up in your face, hitting all those pellets. And what's great is this is a really easy farm because it's always part locked and just depends on the element and the chaos tier. And you can get like non-chaotic Great Bow and shoot it, and it can become an ascended Great Bow. It re-rolls the item chaos tier, which is very cool. It also rerolls the level, so if you have like a level 30 Great Bow and you shoot at level 40, it'll become a level 40 Great Bow, which is very interesting and very cool. There's also the Skeet Prog. I don't like it on this build as much. Haven't really used it too much. I need a better version, but it can be used pretty well with Barbeload. Same with Head Cannon, it's very fun, and Butter Boom. And you also have the Body Rocker, which is really good with mag size boost. This is another thing I use on a different build, which is pretty fun. And then for the melee weapon here, we use a peg leg with Echo. The reload and move speed comes in handy a lot. You also still want to melee often for nimble fingers anyways, because that gives some fire rate and spell damage, which goes into your spell. And then also magic bullets for gun damage. So it's just all really good to melee. The element doesn't matter. Chaos tier doesn't matter. You just want spell cast all damage for the enchant. You could also get a spell blade for better spell crit chance, or a goblin pickaxe and just kind of swing your melee more for some more utility stuff. Those are just some things you could find, but I definitely prefer the peg leg. For the shield, we use a body rune. This is really good for survivability, and the bonus element is also really good. Not as much when using soaks, which I do sometimes, but the survivability is why we use it. I don't have it with that capacitor health part just because there's no real reason. The enchant you want to use is either a full health enchant I have or the low health enchant, which you've seen in some builds I use. That'll help survivability with the low health enchant. For damage, you want the health is full. You could also go action skill start if you have enough cooldown to cycle your from the shadows enough with action skill start all damage, but I like having this health is full. And then we use a Thurge with spell shot power and just matching element to the gun you're using. I use Thurge instead of Barbeload, which you can use like with Ruby Spite, but even when using Ruby Spite, I still use Thurge just because getting back from the shadows feels so much more important than having Barbeload, especially when you're using different weapons. Sometimes I do like to just use one weapon for like a whole run. Sometimes I do like to mix it up, and Thurge is just very consistent. You can still use a Barbeload. Honestly, Thurge should be the last thing you look for. Really just spell shot power and all damage, and then element of like the main weapons you're using. And of course, chaos tier can be important as well, but that just depends on what chaos level you're at. Sever the Thread helps us with keeping Thurge going. Because we're keep refreshing our spells, we can keep spamming it, which is really nice. You can also use a Skeep. That's something I didn't mention. That'll also be really, really good for survivability, so we don't have too much healing. I think this is our only healing for health, which happens sometimes on my builds, but it's whatever. But yeah, that's why you can use that there, and it would be good to use. Shark's Bane is the gun ring to use. For gun builds, you want to use Shark's Bane because it rolls double gun damage. No, any ring could work, any good parted ring, but this is just optimal. I like mixing between like the main gun. I use crit damage and then spell crit damage, so our spells get more. But if you want to focus a lot more on guns, then just get gun crit damage of whatever guns you're using. Or if you want to focus more on spells, you can use more spell crit damage. Also, spell crit chance could be nice. Just anything that helps your guns and your spells is what you want. If you get spell damage, that'll also be fine because it'll go to magic bullets, but it's definitely nowhere near as good as getting shark strain gun damage. And then for the spell here, I like to use a triple ice spike, but it really doesn't matter too much. As long as it's a good spell, it can fit here. I really like triple ice spike. I kind of want to try Wicked Gossip with this. I feel like that would be really fun. I don't really feel like using laser hand with this because while you're charging it, I don't think you can reload, which is kind of annoying. Triple ice spike is just very easy to use, and the cooldown doesn't matter because we use Sever the Thread, which refreshes it. Now, something to keep in mind is that you have to use all your charges before Sever the Thread can activate, but then you get all your charges back. Is really nice. I'd say at least try and get a spell charge. I find spell charge being really nice on this, but it doesn't matter as much with Sever the Thread. So spell damage is still really nice. Extra projectile is really nice. Just anything that helps damage. Crit chance can even help with better double knot. Now I use spell cast, gun damage, and fire rate for more DPS. I do this more for the fire rate just because we have a lot of gun damage, but more fire rate just kind of helps our DPS a lot. Now we have a lot of flexibility with armor, which is really great for this build, which makes it easier to build and not have to focus as many things. Now optimally, you want a spell shot power, berserker power armor with the high thread count and just warming up. This will give us more DPS. I use this on Glut Rot, which is a new build, which will either have come out before or after this. I'm not sure. I'm recording and editing this all at the same time, but this is just kind of optimal for spell shotgun builds. It'll give us, in the end, more gun damage, spell damage, and fire rate than going with magic bullets and getting some spell damage stuff. But it's fine. You could also use Stavamancer spell shot still with the magic bullets armor, and it still does fine. It does great, but this is just stronger. So there's two options you can go for. And then it also going the Stavo power one with magic bullets also means better from the Shadow's duration, which is also nice, but you do lose some spell shot power, which can be unfortunate. And that means losing gun damage and spell damage, which isn't the best. So it's just either or. There's many versions of these armors you can use as well. You can use, I like using either Amalgam, a Corrupted Plate Mail, a Mosquito, or Cape of Tides. For some reason, I didn't really notice much with Mosquito. For some reason, I still don't know why. But if you get like the cooldown crossbolt, that can be really nice for looping from the shadows as well. So that can be very, very good. For the armor, for the passives, you want at least all damage on your armor, I feel like. Since you don't get too much of this here. The other good passive to look out for is move speed, spell damage, gun damage, area damage, fire rate, max HP, and spell crit chance. I like going with move speed and spell damage just because I don't have too much other spell damage bonuses, so I like having some extra one. If you want more guns, then you go gun damage. Area damage can be really nice for boosting your spells and splash weapons, but I don't go that here. I'd probably replace that with spell damage for a perfect roll. I just really like move speed for moving around. It helps survivability because you can move, dodge bullets, and then it also boosts swift death, but swift death isn't the best, so I don't focus on building up swift death. And then here for the skill tree, nothing too much changed, I think, from last time. We still go to elusive. The only thing is we don't focus on dots anymore because if I'm going to make a dot focus field, I'm going to make a blade collar, which I do have Blancher, but I want to make a more standard dot gun Blancher eventually. I just haven't felt the urge to do it yet, but it will come eventually, or someone will have to remind me about it. So here we go haste, and we just go 2 potent poisons just because Arsenal sucks. Too low of damage. Poison will help with exploit their weakness with the duration, keeping that longer. And then we just go 4 points in Swift Death because we need to get down the trade to Elusive. And Follow Up doesn't do anything. Shadow Step doesn't do anything. Again, Arsenal sucks. So we go Swift Death. The scaling is weird with this, so we do get a good amount of ult damage, but nothing spectacular. I think 30% is still the cap, which isn't the best, but not terrible. Then we go Nimble Fingers because this will give us fire rate and spell damage. I mentioned this before. Since we're already meleeing for our peg leg, this is just extra good. And more fire rate and spell damage is good for both guns and spells. And then we go Elusive. We only go this far because of Elusive. This is one of the things that makes Sabo good for gun builds besides going from the shadows. Elusive just means that you could run and gun, and then also the evade chance is just really nice for any build. It doesn't even have to be a gun build. That just helps survivability. But the shoot and gun just kind of helps with moving around and just quality of life. And then here for this, I think I took the points in Font of Mana and put it in the Spell Sniper. It just helps more with crit for Double Knot. I go Warcaster here just because I like it. Warcaster gives more sustained DPS, but Imbued Weapon will probably technically give more damage, but it's just a 10% bonus element, so it doesn't do too much. Then we go Double Knot because of spells. 1 slot, 1 kill for the gun damage, and then Sever the Threat. The background I use is Village Idiot. For pure gun builds, this is like a no-brainer. And for spell builds, you can make an exception for dot builds, but still strength and getting Village Idiot won't hurt you. And then we go the rest in max into Attunement. This was for more cooldown. And then we go the rest into HP and Ward. This just helps survivability. You could go crit chance for better spell crit chance, and just if you miss and your gun hits the body shot, it can crit. Spell cooldown doesn't matter because we have Sever the Thread, and status effect damage doesn't do anything since we're not focusing on dots. I hope you guys enjoyed the build video. It's unfortunate that gun builds have fallen off, but that's just how it is right now. Even though I show this stuff at KS 100, I'll probably be going down to KS 75 just so I can have more fun with the build and use more weapons. Again, this save file will be found in the Discord, and make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. I hope you guys enjoyed this build, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.